With all the RPGs I've played lately from EXE Create and Kemco, a lot of them are designed in a very specific way, mimicking Super Nintendo style RPGs. But a few of their games actually go a little farther back, providing a bit of a different experience with mimicking NES style RPGs. And that's what we're going to dive in today, featuring over 100 recruitable characters in a very retro style world. Here is my review of Alvastia Chronicles for the Nintendo Switch. This story takes place in Alvastia, a world with continents raised into the air, the result of a war against monsters from ages past. You play as Alan, a mute warrior who narrowly escapes a monster attack on his own hometown, vowing to protect his little sister and keep that tragedy from ever happening again. Years later, the two of them are patrolling a village when the same monster that killed their parents shows back up, and they go on a journey to avenge their parents' death. Now overall, I do like this story, but there are a couple things that I do have a problem with. First of all, just like in As Divine Hearts 2, a lot of serious story scenes are derailed with random flirting events going on between the four main characters. Not that flirting events are bad, but they happen far too often and it feels like they happen in almost every major cutscene of the game. The other problem I have is mostly with the extra chapter you get on the true ending path. During that chapter, you have a ton of world-changing lore thrown at you, and by the time you have enough time to process it, it immediately gives you more and closes out the game. The lore itself is pretty interesting, but everything proceeds through that chapter so fast that you barely have enough time to process what you've been told. When it comes to gameplay, Alvastia Chronicles is a retro turn-based RPG with a very heavy emphasis on recruiting NPCs into your party nearly everywhere you go. Now, the first thing to note here is that basic progression is mostly the same with world map exploring, towns, dungeons, and turn-based combat, but this is geared more towards the NES era RPGs like the early Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest games. So a few quality of life things aren't around, clearly on purpose, like items that warp you out of dungeons, and movement controls only being straight lines instead of analog. Now outside of everything else, the big unique point of this game is its recruitment and party management system. Across the entire game, there are over 100 different NPCs you can recruit into your party. Some of them join automatically when you talk to them, while others have certain conditions that have to be met, like having certain items or defeating certain monsters. Once you do recruit them, you can assign them to teams, each associated with one of the main characters that go into battle, granting those party members all of the stats and skills of each NPC assigned to them. To advance things a little further, NPCs that you aren't currently using in your battle party can be assigned to the battle room or strategy room. This allows them to use all of their skills together to create random effects that appear in battle. Both of these systems are unique, and a lot of experimentation can be done as you get different effects and different skills depending on who is tied with who. But I really like this strategy room system because it lets all of your characters that aren't taking part in battle contribute to your party's success instead of just sitting on the bench. Outside of these systems, combat is mostly the same with turn-based combat, attacks, skills, and ultimate attacks. But it's worth noting here that there are no healing save points in any of the dungeons. Instead, you automatically heal back to 100% after every single battle. Tied with the fact that there's a fast travel system on the world map, this raises the convenience of this quite a bit, as well as the ease of training if you ever have to. All you need to do is survive each battle and you'll be back up at 100% to prepare for the next. I do think this formula works well and I had a lot of fun with this game, but there is one aspect that the game really lacks, and that is length. Having over 100 recruitable characters really sounded intimidating, but this is one of the shortest EXE Creates games I've played in a long time. Getting to the normal ending only took me around 8 hours, and the true ending only took me around 9 or 10 hours. Now, I'm not saying this isn't a fair amount of content for the game's asking price, but like I said in the story section, I think some things progressed a little too quickly and the game has a lack of content and length because of that. Now let's dive into presentation. This game is set up like an 8-bit RPG and definitely has that retro look. In handheld mode, it looks really nice and really retro, but when you go into docked mode, it's a different story. It does look the same, but the blurriness of all the character and environment models really causes a lot of eye strain. The first time I played the game, I had to do a lot of adjusting because of how much my eyes strained every time I looked at the TV. I don't have any issues with performance, so let's go right into battery life. Alvastia Chronicles has a battery range of 4 hours and 31 minutes on high settings, up to 7 hours and 5 minutes on low settings. Now, in conclusion, the NES style Alvastia Chronicles brings is definitely unique compared to most of Kemco's recent console releases. Now, the downside, the game does proceed a bit too quickly, and the visual presentation causes eye strain in docked mode. It is without a doubt a fun and unique RPG, but not a very long-lived one. Reviews to Go rates Alvastia Chronicles for the Nintendo Switch a 7.5 out of 10. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below or head to the website at reviewstogo.com.